Every solid object left alone in the freezing, silent void of space follows a fundamental law of physics. Over millions of years, as friction and motion balance out, a lone cosmic rock settles into a clean, predictable, and perfectly steady spin. It rotates around a single axis, holding its direction. But there is a cosmic rebel out there that completely defies this law. It doesn't spin, instead it tumbles, rolls, and wobbles through the dark on two entirely different internal clocks at the exact same time. Think of a poorly thrown American football that fails to find its spiral, wobbling end over end through the air in a clumsy, unpredictable path. When astronomers first caught sight of this chaotic, erratic motion, a collective chill went down the spines of the scientific community, because they realized this wasn't just an ordinary, well-behaved space rock passing by. This was a 370-meter giant, a mountain of stone taller than the Empire State Building, hurtling through the void. They named it Apophis, a title taken directly from the ancient Egyptian demon of darkness, the giant serpent that waited in the shadows of the underworld, plotting to swallow the sun and plunge humanity into eternal night. The planetary nightmare began in the bleak winter days of December 2004. High on a snowy mountaintop observatory in Kitt Peak, Arizona, a specialized telescope captured a faint, blurry smudge of light crawling slowly across a dense field of distant stars. To an untrained eye, it was just another harmless piece of space debris. But when orbital specialists at NASA ran the tracking numbers forward through their supercomputers, the system spat out a calculation that sent shockwaves through the global scientific community. The numbers revealed a terrifying projection. On a specific Friday in the spring of 2029, this massive rock had a staggering 1 in 37 chance of slamming directly into the surface of the Earth. To put this in perspective, scientists use a specialized metric called the Torino scale to rank the real threat of incoming celestial objects. The scale runs from 0, meaning absolutely harmless, to 10, meaning a guaranteed global catastrophe capable of ending civilization. Before this discovery, no asteroid had ever crossed beyond a level 1 or 2. Apophis was immediately slapped with a historic level 4 rating. Never before had any object in human history been ranked that high, and in the decades since, nothing has ever reached it again. For several weeks, the God of Chaos held the terrifying record for the most dangerous object ever tracked by humanity. In major space agencies across the globe, the atmosphere turned deadly serious. Public announcements were put on hold as world-class mathematicians and astronomers went completely quiet, locked themselves in laboratories and frantically checked and rechecked each other's equations, praying that a decimal point was misplaced. The world was suddenly facing the very real mathematical possibility that our generation might meet the exact same violent fate as the prehistoric dinosaurs. So, how did we get here? If the threat was that high, why are we still going about our daily lives? Is the danger truly gone, or have we just stopped looking? The definitive answer came in March of 2021, when NASA decided to launch a massive planetary defense observation. As Apophis made a safe, distant flyby of our planet, scientists fired up the giant 70-meter radar dish at the Goldstone Deep Space Communications Complex nestled in the California desert. They synchronized this massive transmitter with the ultra-sensitive Green Bank telescope in West Virginia. Together, they blasted high-power radio waves millions of miles across the empty vacuum of space. They waited, listening intently until the incredibly faint radar echo bounced off the asteroid and traveled all the way back to Earth. When the team at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory analyzed that returned signal, they achieved a level of tracking precision that had never been possible before. This new data officially cracked the orbital code. The refined trajectory allowed orbit specialists to confidently rule out a direct impact, not just for the terrifying deadline of 2029, but for at least the next 100 years. Crucially, this new math also eliminated the threat of what scientists quietly call gravitational keyholes. A keyhole is a highly specific, narrow patch of space, only a few hundred meters wide, that acts like a cosmic trapdoor. If Apophis had passed through one of these hidden keyholes in 2029, Earth's gravity would have bent its orbital path just enough to lock it into a guaranteed catastrophic collision on a return loop in the years 2036 or 2068. The radar data proved it will miss every single one of them. The immediate panic was over. The mainstream media quickly lost interest, changing the global headlines from "Doomsday Asteroid approaches" to "Asteroid will safely miss," and the general public forgot the name Apophis entirely. But in the hidden world of astrophysics, the real mystery was just beginning, because while the public assumed the case was closed, scientists realized that ruling out the impact only settled where the asteroid was going. It told them absolutely nothing about what the asteroid actually was, and what it is turns out to be far stranger than any science fiction movie. For decades, every single calculation had been built on a comfortable, unchallenged assumption that Apophis was a solid, uniform, dependable chunk of iron and stone. But as the data poured in, that illusion shattered. Advanced radar imaging revealed that Apophis is not a smooth, tidy sphere. Instead, it's an elongated, heavily deformed, lumpy body with a bizarre pinch right through its center. The closest visual description astronomers could agree on was a giant floating peanut or a heavy dumbbell. This peanut shape brought forward a profound mystery regarding its inner structure. In deep space, a body only takes on a dumbbell shape if it is a contact binary, which means Apophis is not one single rock, but two completely separate boulders that drifted together in the slow, gentle gravity of the early solar system. They collided so softly that they didn't shatter. Instead, they just stayed touching, resting against one another at a fragile, narrow neck. They are not welded together, they are not fused, and they are not held by solid rock. They are simply leaning against each other in the vacuum. Even worse, space missions to other nearby asteroids like Itokawa and Bennu have revealed a shocking truth about these objects. They are what scientists call rubble piles. They are not solid stone at all. They are literal floating sand piles and loose heaps of boulders, gravel, and ancient dust held together by an incredibly weak gravitational bond, with vast pockets of completely empty space threaded all through their interiors. When a NASA probe touched down on the asteroid Bennu, it didn't hit hard ground. It sank directly into the surface like a heavy stone dropping into a pit of loose plastic balls. There is every scientific reason to believe Apophis is exactly the same, a highly unstable, loosely packed pile of ancient space debris wearing the deceptive mask of a solid mountain. This brings us to the ultimate climax of our story, and the date you need to mark on your calendar: Friday, April 13th, 2029. On that historic night, this massive, tumbling cosmic sand pile will cross into our territory, passing a mere 31,600 kilometers above the surface of the Earth. To understand just how unbelievably close that is, you have to look at our own human technology. The ring of high-altitude geosynchronous satellites that power our global television, weather tracking, and military communications sit at an orbit of roughly 36,000 kilometers. Apophis, a wild natural remnant from the birth of our solar system, will slice deep inside the orbit of our own artificial spacecraft. It will be so close to the planet that millions of people across Europe, Africa, and Western Asia will be able to step out onto their balconies, look up at the night sky, and see it moving with their naked eyes as a bright, fast-moving point of light racing across the ancient constellations. But at that extreme, intimate distance, Earth's gravity ceases to be a gentle, distant pull. It becomes an active, disruptive force. Because gravity weakens with distance, the side of Apophis facing the Earth will be yanked with significantly more violence than the side facing away. This dramatic difference in pulling force creates what astronomers call a tidal shear force. It is the exact same gravitational phenomenon that pulls at our oceans to create the tides, but this time it is being unleashed on a fragile rubble pile that is already struggling to hold itself together. Peer-reviewed physics models published in major planetary science journals have outlined a series of jaw-dropping predictions for what will happen during that 6-hour flyby window. As our planet reaches out with its gravity, it will trigger full-scale asteroid quakes rippling through the core of Apophis. In an eerie floating silence, because there is no atmosphere to carry sound, entire slopes of loose boulders will give way in massive slow-motion landslides. The narrow, fragile neck of the peanut-shaped world will begin to groan and compress under an intense structural stress it hasn't experienced in hundreds of millions of years. Fine dust and gravel will literally levitate off the surface, shifting and migrating across the body, permanently rearranging at least 1% of the asteroid's entire surface before its spin axis is violently warped and altered forever. For the first time in human history, mankind will not just be passive observers of the cosmos. We will watch our own home planet actively reach into space and physically reshape another celestial world in near real time. To ensure we do not miss a single second of this cosmic event, humanity is already sending an active emissary. NASA's highly successful spacecraft, originally named OSIRIS-X, the legendary probe that traveled to the asteroid Bennu, scraped up a physical sample and dropped it back to Earth in 2023, has been given a second life and a brand new directive. Rechristened as OSIRIS-Apex, the spacecraft is currently executing a sequence of deep space maneuvers to catch up with the monster. While it won't arrive fast enough to see the exact moment of the flyby from up close, it will rendezvous with Apophis just 2 months later, in June of 2029. For the following 18 months, it will orbit the asteroid at point-blank range. It will act as a cosmic detective, taking thousands of high-definition photographs to compare the before and after state of the world. It will document every freshly exposed layer of rock, every single shifted boulder, and the distinct raw scars of the landslides left behind by Earth's powerful gravitational hand. For decades, human culture looked up at Apophis with pure terror, treating it as the doomsday killer that would end human civilization. Then we dismissed it as a boring false alarm, a safe miss not worth thinking about. The truth is far more exciting than either of those options. Apophis is the ultimate grand-scale physics experiment provided by nature, a rare front-row seat to the violent mechanics of our solar system. When that fateful Friday the 13th arrives in 2029 and that bright point of light streaks across your night sky, you won't just be looking at a rock in space. You will be witnessing the exact moment a planet reaches out and lays its hands on an asteroid. Are you ready for the night the sky comes alive? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button to support the channel and make sure to subscribe so you never miss another deep space mystery. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.